Greetings. Peace be with you. So at the time of this recording, we are on the last day of 2020. And this is an opportunity for all of us. Actually, every day is an opportunity for all of us, but there's this collective, let's just say, perspective that new year is a fresh new start for all of us, and realistically every single day is a fresh new start, but this is really another opportunity that we can dive deeper and reflect on all the lessons that 2020 has provided for us and how we can optimize and improve moving forward. So in this video, I want to share with you 20 life lessons that I learned from 2020, and hopefully they can help you as much as they have helped me as I make this video in further deepening my hold over these very critical life lessons. Okay, now the first lesson is that false perceptions disturb tranquility of mind, right? And without peace of mind, if you can have everything in the world, would it be worth it, right? And that's when I realized that, at the end of the day, the first and last wealth is that of peace of mind. If you don't have peace of mind, you do not have anything. You can have everything, but you have nothing if you don't have peace of mind. And really, it comes down to false perceptions, okay? Because I read this quote. It's like, if you don't like the world that you see, change the prescription of your glasses, right? And the fact is that, there's nothing wrong with the world other than our perception of it, other than our view of it, right? Now, 2020 could have been the roughest year of your life. 2020 could have been the best year of your life. And the fact is that everything is exactly how it is. And when we resist what is when we put our expectations above the way that things actually are, and that becomes a source of unnecessary suffering, right? So we can put in the effort. I'm going to discuss this coming up as well, but it's really about managing our perceptions to see how we can in our most empowered expression, respond to the events that are occurring, right? Rather than resisting them, how can we respond to them most effectively, right? It comes down to the way that we view the world. Now, the second life lesson from 2020 is that the difference between knowledge and wisdom is experience, right? They say that knowledge is power, but I believe that wisdom is power, because wisdom is applied knowledge at the end of the day, right? Like, we can consume all the information, but until we actually apply it, it's just mental stimulation, is just mental entertainment. And this is something that, intellectually it's easy to grasp, but I find myself falling into that trap again and again and again of just trying to consume more without actually implementing what I already know to be true. And that just becomes a situation where we get overwhelmed with all the information and we subconsciously sabotage ourselves from taking action. So it is so important that at the moment where we consume information, how can we apply this right here, right now, in order to create a new experience that will give us the wisdom on how to optimize moving forward as well. Okay, now the third life lesson from 2020 is that the antidote to impulsiveness is forethought. Okay, because we are all in this battle, and this battle is taking place within our own minds, and it is really the battle between our limbic system, right, our amygdala, our mammalian brain that is moving towards pleasure and away from pain, and our neocortex, right, our higher self, our rational mind. And without a compelling vision for the future, we default to what feels good right now. Okay, so we all have a tendency to be compulsive. We all have a tendency to be impulsive, to, react to the situation that we're in. But if we can create a vision for the future, right? This is something that comes up again and again and again. If we can create that vision or the future, then that is what allows us to sacrifice the present moment pleasure for that long-term gain that we can create, right? And another quote that I read is that when you concern yourself with what makes you feel good, you can forget what makes you great, right? So when you're concerned about what makes you feel good, you are less concerned about what makes you great, right? So it's really about that trade-off over there. Everything is a trade-off at the end of the day. And, when we have clarity about what matters to us, that also gives us clarity on what does not matter to us, right? And therefore we can focus on what is important and we can let go of what is not, right? I hope that those dogs in the background are not disturbing you. Okay, so the fourth life lesson is that weak dreams inspire weak efforts. Okay, if you are currently not putting in the effort that you see yourself as capable of exerting, perhaps your vision is not strong enough, perhaps your vision is not exciting enough, perhaps your vision is not compelling enough. Okay, because perhaps we will be diving into this moving forward as well. But when our vision is not exciting, we don't have emotion associated with it, and when we don't have emotion associated is when we don't have the energy to put ourselves into motion, right? Emotion is what drives our behavior, and if our dreams are not exciting enough, then we will not be compelled to move forward towards them, right? I heard a quote, I think it was Joe Vitale, who said that your dreams should scare you a little and excite you a lot, right? So really, this is an opportunity for you to create a vision that actually excites you, that fills you with enthusiasm. Otherwise, you will be unlikely to follow through, right? Weak dreams inspire weak efforts. Now, the fifth life lesson over here from 2020 is that keeping commitments with others builds strong relationships, and keeping commitments with self brings strong character, right? And really, it just comes down to this, right? To have a sense of your own worth, right? To have a sense of self-worth, you must first have to do something worthy of your own respect, right? And this is really about, at the end of the day, I remember in 2019, I made the commitment that I'm going to make videos every single day. I'm going to upload a video every single day for 2020. And this is the final video for 2020. We are going to be switching things up moving forward for sure, right? But the amount of self-esteem that builds when you say you're going to do something and you do it, and you do that over a year, right? It's just incredible how it makes you feel, right? The only way to make yourself feel true fulfillment is saying what you're going to do and actually doing it. And when you do that over the long term, it creates immense amounts of self-respect, of self-trust, and then eventually integrity, right? Like when you say what you think and what you do, when they're in alignment, then you'll find inner peace, right? That's what Gandhi said as well. So this is really about moving beyond good intentions, because we all have good intentions for the most part. We all have intentions to be healthy, wealthy, and wise and strong and have good relationships, right? But this is about moving beyond the realm of good intentions into the realm of rituals, routines, and habits, right? What can you do every single day that aligns with that vision is the most important thing. It's not about what you say. It's not about what you think. Yes, they are important. Yes, they are precursors to what you do. But at the end of the day, what you do is where the rubber meets the road. Okay, now the sixth life lesson from 2020 is that true accountability is about taking ownership of your choices. Okay, because at the end of the day, we all have a choice. We all have the choice on whether we're going to step forward into growth or backwards into comfort. And when we say things like I have to do this or I must do this, that's like giving up our own free will. You don't have to do anything, right? You don't have to do anything. But everything is a choice, and when you can really switch that languaging, that I choose to do this because this is what I'm here to do, this is my duty, this is my obligation, versus I must do this because that person's saying it, or I have to do this because this other person has expectations of me, right? When you can switch that paradigm and realize that you are the conscious choice maker in your own reality, that is when you begin to take responsibility for creating a life that you love. Okay, because these have to's, these must to's, these are all obligations which are inflicted within us. They don't actually exist. We don't have to do anything, right? We don't have to do anything. There's no obligations, right? Other than the obligation to live into your duty, other than the obligation to live into cultivating your greatest gifts and greatest service to the world. And that's a choice that we all must make, right? Because at the end of the day, potential unexpressed leads to pain, and the emotions that we experience give us a signal on whether we are moving in the direction of our dreams or not. But at the end of the day, it's a choice, and accountability is about making that choice. When you say you're going to do something but you don't do it, you make a choice not to do it, right? And it's really about the choices that you make that form the links of your life, and the chain of your life is created by the choices that you make. So it is so important that you take ownership of your choices, take accountability for your choices. Yes, it's easy to become accountable to someone else sometimes, right? It's like, I'm going to be accountable to this person so that I can, sometimes it's like, yeah, I invested in myself right now, so I'm going to be accountable to this person, and therefore I'm more likely to follow through. Like sometimes we hire a personal trainer for accountability, and then we are more likely to follow through. But whatever you have to do, realize at the end of the day, it's about you taking ownership of your own choices, and that will determine whether you create the reality of your dreams or not, right? So the seventh life lesson from 2020 is that the price of greatness is the sacrifice of comfort. Okay, so this is really about understanding that the goals that we have, the dreams that we have, the visions that we have, the ambitions that we have, all of that, in order to create it, it is less about what you do and it is more about what you don't do, right? So this is a quote that I read, that obtaining prosperity is less about what you are willing to do to gain it and more about what you are willing to give up in exchange for it, right? Everything in this world, in this universe, has a price, and the question is whether you are willing to pay that price or not, right? If you pay that price every single day, then it is only a matter of time before you get the rewards of paying that price, right? And if you aren't willing to pay the price, then realize that there's no such reality as something for nothing. I think that's one of the life lessons that I wrote down as well. And it's really about this. I made a video about this yesterday, right? Get clear on what you want, determine the price necessary to get what you want, and then pay that price every single day. It's very simple when I put it like that, but in practice is what really makes the difference. And practicing that not just for a day, 2 days, a week, a month, practicing that over the long term. Okay, now the 8th life lesson, it was something that I learned from Robin Sharma. He said that excuses are the lies your fears have sold you, right? Excuses are the lies your fears have sold you, because it's very easy to make an excuse about why you did not achieve a certain result or why you don't have a certain result, right? But it's really about the story that you're telling yourself about why you don't have that certain result in your life, and underneath that story is a fear, right? That excuse is a cop-out. It allows us not to take responsibility for our dreams. It like gives us this cop-out that, oh, okay, yeah, that this thing happened, like this external situation happened, my genes are not good enough, my talents are not good enough, I was born in this certain country, right? Underneath all of those excuses are the fears of not being good enough. So it just becomes way easier to make the excuse and not step into your personal power than it is to actually step into it and face your fears and face the failures and, you know, be willing to sacrifice your comfort for the growth that comes through that at the end of the day, right? And the fears that you don't face will become your regrets. And at the end of the day, we will all pay the price, and that price is either regret or it is self-discipline to do what needs to be done regardless of how you feel, right? And shout out to the monkmodechallenge.com. Check that out. It's all about developing the self-discipline so that you can actually close the gap between your intentions and your behavior, right? So the 9th life lesson, I'm going to go through this a bit quicker now. This video is getting a bit long, but caring what others think of you makes you a slave to their opinion, right? And this is something that I think a lot of us struggle with. I continue to struggle with, and this is just a deep part of our programming to be concerned about what the other people of the tribe are thinking of us, because in our caveman brains programming, it was like, oh, if I disappoint someone, or if I step out of line, or if I do something that is not in alignment with the tribe leader or the chief, then he's gonna excommunicate me, and if I go out in the wild without my tribe, then I'm gonna die. So that's how deep rooted this fear is, right? This fear of other people's opinions. But realize that at the end of the day, your opinion of you is more important than others' opinion of you. And also, when you realize and really embody this wisdom, then the world tends to accept whatever judgment you place on yourself, right? So it's really about you being concerned more about your character, you being concerned more about your actions, you being concerned more about your thoughts, about yourself, and, you know, doing what you say you're gonna do. And that is what really develops that self-respect, that self-esteem. And once you have that, you no longer crave the validation for other people's approval, okay? Now, the 10th life lesson is that money is the energy of exchange and prosperity is the flow of exchange, okay? So this is very important because speaking at this from my own personal experience, there's like a tendency to get attached to money. There's a tendency to hoard money. There is a tendency to just keep money. But realize money is nothing more than the energy of exchange. It's about currency, right? Currency, just like the current of a river, likes to flow. It likes to move. It likes to go and be at work. But when we hoard this money, when we save it, when we think that it has value other than the one we assign to it, then we actually stop the flow of money, and we stop the flow of prosperity, and we stop the flow of all good things in our life. It's like a blood clot, right? It's like a river that's flowing. It's going to be abundantly flowing. It's going to supply to all the life that there is. But if the river stops flowing, then it becomes a swamp. It becomes just this dirty old swamp, right? So we don't want that to happen to the flow of abundance in our lives. We want to share that. We want to give more, right? And also understand that the service a man renders is the cause, and the pay that he receives is the effect, right? So focusing more on the cause, right, which is the service rendered, the useful service that you render to others, and focusing less on the effect is something that I'm going to be implementing in 2021 as well, right? Now, the 11th life lesson over here is that the few whom you will illuminate by sharing your light are far more than enough reason for the greatest possible effort. Okay, now this is something that I continue to deal with as well. I'm like, yo, I made videos every single day and I'm barely getting hundreds of views. Like, you know, I've seen other people get hundreds of thousands of views. What's going on? But that's just the ego speaking, right? At the end of the day, if even one person is getting value from this, if even one person is improving his decisions, his behaviors, his life, his value, he's getting some clarity somehow, mind the dude in the background, then it is worth the effort, right? Because at the end of the day, the question really is, did you leave the world better than you found it? And even if you improve one person's lifeline, one person's destiny, right? Like, you never know the effect that you have on people's lives. Okay, mind the people in the background. But that's really what it comes down to, man. Like, the service that you give to others is the price that you pay for the rent here on your earth, right? I think it was Muhammad Ali or someone who said that. But that's so important to understand, that even if you are able to illuminate one person's path, that is worth the effort. We get concerned with, oh, the numbers, you know, but like, if we were to even visualize 100 people standing over here in my garden, that would be a lot of people. So 100 views, that's a lot of people. They're like individual human people, man. So not to get concerned with the numbers, with the likes, with the views. It's just about, you know, even if it's helping one person, then it is worth the greatest possible effort, right? So the 12th life lesson is to accept what is, let go of what was, and intend for what can be, right? Accept what is, because the more you resist it, the more it will persist. And again, this goes back to a previous life lesson, that sometimes we place our expectations of the way we want reality to behave above the way that it's actually behaving. And who are we to think that we know better than nature, that is allowing reality to unfold exactly how it is supposed to, right? So we accept what is, and the past so many times can be like the baggage that holds us back. We let go of it. Of course, we can learn from it. We can extract the insights from the past. The more we let go of it, the more space, the more energy that we have to go and intend for the future that we can create, right? You are a creator. The fact that you have the ability to conceive of a vision beyond the experience that you are having right now is evidence for the fact that you are capable of actually creating that future as well, right? So that's what it is with the relationship of time. You can learn, extract the wisdom from the past, but don't hold it, don't carry it around with you, right? And with the present, don't resist it, accept it, because that is exactly how nature intended it for it to be, right? Loving your destiny, loving your fate, and know that the future is within your ability to make an impact towards, okay? So just gonna go a bit faster over here. This video is coming up to 20 minutes almost. But the 13th life lesson over here is that the fear of success is much more powerful than the fear of failure, right? And this is a profound lesson for me, because when I look and, you know, when we observe the way that things are playing out, we see that way more people are quote unquote failures. And at the end of the day, it's like success, failure, who really knows what that even means. But when we look at that in terms of material means, when we look at that in terms of vibrational frequency, I would say that the mass of people are actually in that lower frequency. The mass of people are actually not living up to their potential. The mass of people are actually scared of failure, right? But more people are scared of success, because we have way fewer successful people than we have failures in this life, right? There's so many failures. So which means that what if we're actually scared of our own light, of our own ability? And that is what's holding us back from actually stepping into our vision, right? Just a mindset shift over here. So life lesson number 14 is that going with the flow is the delicate dance between effort and surrender, right? And this is really about understanding that after you give everything that you have to give, after you've put in the effort, after you've done everything that you can, that is time to graciously accept whatever is in front of you, and to just accept the outcome and then proceed from there, right? Accept what is and then proceed from there, right? Put in the effort, but surrender to the outcome, right? The outcome is outside of your control. What is within your control is your own thoughts, is your own behaviors. The more you focus on that, the more you focus on what is within your control, the less energy is being diluted into going towards the things that don't really move the needle in your life, okay? Now, the 15th life lesson over here is that before external rewards comes the inward. So before external rewards comes the internal experience that they already belong to you, okay? If you are to create the life of your dreams, you must experience that internally before externally, right? Robin Sharma says that interior empires create exterior empires, right? Robin Sharma has the framework of your mindset, your heart set, your soul set, and your health set. We have to make sure that our interior empires are taken care of, because our internal world creates our external reality. So the more that we focus on the cause, which is our own internal world, our own thoughts and our emotions, the more we can focus on what actually allows us to create that life. The more we focus externally, the more we're focusing on the effect, the less likely we are to actually make an impact on the effect, because the effect is a symptom and the cause of which is our own selves, right? So life lesson number 16 is that the evil is not so much in breaking the rules, but in the shame and guilt that makes you judge yourself as unworthy. Okay, so first we set the law, right? I think this is from Thick Face Black Heart, right? So she talks about how first we set the law, then we become the lawbreakers, then we become the judge, the jury, and the executioner, right? So it's not so much that, okay, man, I fell off the track, right? That's cool. Like, how fast can you get back? But so many times we fall off track, and then we execute ourselves, we shame ourselves, we declare ourselves non-worthy, and that becomes a negative cycle that moves down towards an abyss, which doesn't serve anyone, because we're not doing ourselves any good, and when we don't do ourselves any good, we can't do anyone else any good. So it's not so much about you falling off track. It's not so much about you breaking your own rules. It's not so much about you not living up to your expectations. That's the first arrow, right? You got hit, but don't start hitting yourself again. Don't execute yourself. Extract the wisdom that you can learn from it, and then learn how to optimize moving ahead, right? Don't shame yourself, because that doesn't serve anyone. Okay, that is the real evil. So life lesson number 17: the more you try to do, the less you actually accomplish. Okay, a lot of people are busy being busy. For me as well, I have to constantly reflect and evaluate whether what I am doing right here, right now, is the best possible use of my time. Is this necessary? As Marcus really said, at every moment, at every decision, is this necessary? Why am I doing this, right? Because we can do a lot of things, and we can be mediocre at a lot of things, or we can choose to be great at a couple of things that are our own unique abilities and own unique talents, and that we have the potential to create the biggest amount of positive change in this world with, right? The more you do, the less you try to accomplish, right? Because the more you split your attention, the more you actually split your powers, right? It's like focus is a force multiplier, right? It's like the energy, the electricity that goes into a lamp might be the same energy that goes into a laser, but when that energy is focused, it can burn through walls. If it's not, then it just becomes splintered out, right? And that really is the power of focus, right? And productivity is not about doing more things, it's about getting the right things done at the end of the day, right? So what are those right things for you, and what they are for me is very different, but it's important to get awareness on this. Okay, now life lesson number 18: that there is no such reality as something for nothing, right? Intellectually it makes sense, but so many times I notice tendencies in myself to try and get that quick buck, to try and get that quick result, to try and get that result without the effort. But there is no such reality. There's always a price to pay, right? You can feel good now, you can smoke that joint, you can drink that alcohol, you can feel good now, but you will pay the price later, right? Either you pay the price now or you pay the price later, but there is no getting away from the reality that you must pay that price, right? And whatever you get from life will depend on what you give to life, right? Whatever you get from life will depend on what you give to life, and that is how it goes. There's no such reality as something for nothing. Okay, now life lesson number 19 is that the most important thing in life is human relationships. Okay, now this can affect you for the better, this can affect you for the worse. It just depends on the people that you surround yourself with, right? Dan Pena says, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. You read the quotes on Instagram, but the question is not whether you read the quotes, whether you understand this, whether you know this. Is about whether you're living it, whether you're practicing it, whether you are keeping a criteria for the people that belong in your life and for the people that don't. Me personally, I know this has a lot of work for me to do as well, because there are certain connections with people that may not necessarily serve the highest expression of who I'm here to be. But at the end of the day, it's about understanding and consciously creating an environment, an empowering ecosystem of people that lift you up, that support you, so that you can accelerate towards becoming the person that you are here to be, right? And even the deepest joys, the highest highs like nothing can compare to the experience that you share with the people in your life, right? When you have an experience with someone that you love, someone that you appreciate, someone that is important to you, nothing can compare to that. So understand that that is the most important currency, that is the most important wealth in our life, right? The relationships that we have. This is not something that I'm just saying, this is something that has been scientifically proven as well, right? The longest study on human happiness came to this conclusion as well, right? That human happiness, human flourishing, it all comes down to the relationships that we have in our lives, right? The strength of those relationships, the quality of those relationships, right? Now the last life lesson number 20 for 2020 is that the sincere spiritual seeker walks a path along a razor's edge in pursuit of his perfection. The insincere uses spirituality as an excuse to practice inertia and avoid life's challenges. Okay, this is definitely something that I found myself in the past as well, like thinking that spirituality is about me just being silent and not engaging in society and just cutting myself off from all of the demands and everything and just being meditating in a cave. That's what spirituality is. But that is a cop-out, right? I mean, if that's your dharma, I mean, who am I to say, right? But it's important to know what your duty is, what your obligation is. You already know, right? If you take a moment to get silent, to understand the deep intentions within your own heart, within your own soul, you already know why you came here, but the distractions of the world just cause us to get off track. So it's so important to get clarity first and foremost, to know why we're here, and then having the confidence, having the courage, having the certainty to walk that path every single day, right? No one said the spiritual path was easy. A lot of times I saw this in myself, I see this in others who just take a cop out. I'm just gonna let go of the money game, I'm just not gonna involve in myself in society, I'm just not gonna do anything, I'm just gonna sit here and be this hippie and not care about anything or anyone and just live on my own terms and be spiritual. But that is an insincere quest towards spirituality, right? Spirituality is more about meaning, it's more about purpose, it's more about service, it's about how you can make the biggest positive impact on the lives that you touch. Okay, so that is the 20 lessons from 2020, and just gonna wrap that up right now because this is the final video of 2020. We're gonna switch up the publishing schedule in 2021. Gonna be less quantity, higher quality. That's the intention, trying for about 3 videos per week, maybe 2 videos per week, focusing more on the quantity. But yeah, man, 2021 is an opportunity to reinvent ourselves, and really every single day is an opportunity for that. But what if we can really implement, what if we can really take action, what if we can really move towards becoming the person that we are here to be without getting distracted, without getting off track. I mean, we're all going to get off track, but how quickly we can get back up is the only thing that matters. Okay, so wishing you a blessed 2021, a start to 2021 where you are stepping into your personal power and purpose, and really yeah, man, I appreciate you, and I hope that you're making these changes in your life. And yeah, 2021 is going to be a big year. It's going to be a lot of shifts going on, and all I can say is that I wish you nothing but the best. I hope I can continue being of service in any way that I can. But with all that being said, I'm going to leave you in the peace and power of the one infinite creator, and I'll catch you in the next one. Much love to you. Take care.